This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on February the 8th, 2022. And yes, it is cold out here in Atlantic Canada, but you know what, folks? I am donning my Horror-rama shirt today because 2017 became the first time I'd ever left New Brunswick. And it was when actress Lisa Langlois from class of 1984 invited me to assist her at her table at Horror-rama 2017. And I've been going every year since, except for 2020, because that year just kind of sucked for everybody. But you know what? I loved the 2017 Horror-rama, met all kinds of wonderful people, including my absolutely stunning either coffee or tea drinking guest that's on here right now with beautiful long hair. Folks, I give you the absolutely beautiful and talented Ashley C. Williams. How do you do, Ashley?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It was so cool to meet you at Horror-rama. You had that wide brim hat. I remember you were so classy. You had your baby there at the time too.
Yes, I did. I think I had two babies. Well,
Oh,
a
you could
toddler.
have. You could-
Yeah, two or five doesn't make a difference.
Your husband doesn't count in that, does he?
Yes, he does. He sure does. Don't tell him I said that.
Look what I have. I still have it.
Oh, I love that picture.
I don't sell my autographs, I keep everything I get signed, and this one is what I had you sign. Now, if I
Yep.
remember correctly, that was either your first Canadian convention or your first convention period. Which one is it?
First Canadian. Oh, you know what? Actually, no, it was not my first Canadian convention. I did one back in 2011 or 12. I think it was 2012 that I did my
Okay.
first um, Canadian convention. I think, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was Chicago that I was in, somewhere up north. But let's just say Horror-rama was my first, in 2017, my first Canadian convention.
Oh,
Let's
there
just say.
you go. I knew they had said something along those lines, and I don't remember. Of course, Chris Alexander and Louis Cerez of Suspect Video were the front runners for this event, and I've seen them every year going back there, and that was my first time traveling. And I'm going to be 50 this year, and that was my first time traveling, and I was like, I got the bug. And I love the horror
Travel.
conventions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I remember when you was there, they were screening Julia. I didn't see it there. I don't know what I was doing because I was VIP that weekend, plus I was helping Lisa at her table. So I don't remember what I was doing when Julia was screened, but I know it was one of the features that was screened there that weekend.
Yep.
Yep. But I have seen Julia since, so um, you between that and Human Centipede, you get involved in a lot of very harshly, explicitly violent films. Is there something about you we should know?
Oh gosh, it's really by mistake. I'm just drawn towards unique material, challenging material, interesting stories,
Hmm.
complex characters. So, you know, um, I think being kind of um, thrown into the horror genre with Human Centipede, I started to get offered a lot of horror movies, and Julia was actually, I guess it was about 5 years after I did Human Centipede. And I really loved that it wasn't necessarily a horror film. It was just it was a lot more complex and deeper than that and more psychological, and the character was just exactly what I was wanting at that time. So yeah, so I took it, and that's actually where I met my husband Matthew, who wrote and directed the film. So definitely glad I did that one.
Is your husband afraid of you?
Absolutely not. He loves, uh, I have a dark, we both, that's what we were drawn, we were drawn towards each other because of, I mean, one of the things was, we're drawn to like darker material, I guess,
Hmm.
the beauty in the darkness, and, being kind of captivated by it. And, you know, every actor loves to kind of go to a place that she wouldn't normally be able to go in real life, like play like, well, the bad guy or the bad girl, without like real life consequences. It's kind of fun.
Hmm. Well, before we get into those in more detail, I want to get a little bit of your background and how you got into the business. Were you always drawn to be in the arts?
Yeah, from a very young age, my parents, we lived in Northern California when Ron Howard was shooting Willow.
Ah,
And
nice.
uh, it just so happened that Ron Howard sent an assistant to a nearby kindergarten that I was in, a kindergarten class, and it was near where they were shooting, and they needed some background actors that were young, like young kids, to be the Nelwyn villagers. And the assistant chose me and my best friend Michael. And I had like the most amazing time on set. I was playing a Nelwyn villager. I had this whole costume with these sort of like elf looking shoes, and it was just really amazing. And my parents just saw how much fun I was having, and that I was a natural. And so from then on, they started to, you know, um, take me to auditions for the local theater and things like that. And I just started to love it. I just there was nothing like it. And that was so I started professionally actually at a very young age on the stage. So I was a stage actress for a majority of my young adult life, and was doing musicals as well. Like I was singing and dancing, and I always had that, like when just doing that around the house, dancing and singing with my siblings. And so then I went to New York City for acting school, and was more drawn towards the the more just straight plays, without musicals. I really loved diving into like just character depth, and you don't get that a lot with musicals. It's very showy. So so yeah, that's kind of where it went from there. And then I got into film. Human Centipede was my first film experience, with dialogue and that kind of thing. So yeah.
You know, um, we'll get to Human Centipede in a minute. I want to talk a little bit about Julia because one of my favorite horror films is Miss 45, the 1981 Abel Ferrara movie. And
Yeah.
yeah, I love that film. And there were parts of Julia that kind of reminded me of that film, especially when you got decked out in black and you had the ponytail and you were coming down those that stairwell behind that guy, kind of reminded me when she was um going down into, I think it's Officer Square. I don't know, in that movie, and she's surrounded by the gang, and they're going around her and she pulls the gun out and blows them all away.
I haven't seen Miss 45.
I
Um,
love Miss 45. Unfortunately, the actress that played her died young,
oh,
but I've had her widow on here 5 times in tribute to her, though.
hmm.
Yeah, but it's an Abel Ferrara movie, and well worth checking out. I love the film. It's like a female Death Wish, but better. She plays a mute in the movie, so she
Oh,
has real issues communicating, and that's when she gets attacked and raped twice in the first 10 minutes of the film. The
Hmm.
second time interrupting a burglary in her apartment, and she manages to kill her second attacker.
Wow.
And of course, his gun is right there, and well, it goes from there.
Okay.
She ends up sawing his body up in the bathtub and going around town distributing the parts. And
Whoa.
yeah, she works as a seamstress, you know. The actress herself wasn't mute, the character was. And very interesting movie,
Hmm.
and enjoyed it. Of course, the director was the first one. Abel Ferrara was the first one to give her a rape scene in the alley scene when she's coming home with the groceries. Credited as Jimmy Lane, but he was Abel Ferrara.
Yeah.
But the
Wow.
guy breaking into her apartment wasn't so lucky.
I
My only
bet.
my only question in the film is, where does she get all the bullets? That gun seems to have an unlimited amount of bullets, but otherwise I don't question anything else in it. But love that film, and Julia kind of in a way put me in mind of that, because Julia is assaulted
Hmm.
at the beginning of the movie, and I love that shot of you going up the escalator there at the beginning of the film. Kind of put me in mind of Toronto, because we haven't had escalators here in Fredericton since the 80s.
Mm.
So I got to reconnect with the escalators when I was in Toronto. I was like, I miss this feeling.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
But you met your husband, who directed that film.
Hmm.
Now, how did he come to cast you in this film?
Actually, he had cast someone else for the role of Julia, who then ended up dropping out. And they were about a month out from shooting. So they were sort of desperate looking for, the right person to play her. And the producers on the film used to be my managers. They used to rep me, and they recommended me for the role. And there's a funny story with that, because when he heard that I was involved in Human Centipede, immediately he was like, no, no, we can't have her in this movie if she was involved in that film, which is, I've gotten that a lot. Sort of the good part and the bad part being involved in a film like that was, like, a lot of people in the industry just won't have it. They will not have anything to do with it. And he was one of those guys, and then the producers seemed to convince him that, like, I was really, like, real and down to earth, and that I'm really talented and all these things. And he's like, okay, I'll meet her. They were like, yes, you just got to meet her in person. She's great. Just do it. So yeah, I read the script first and was just in awe of it, and immediately said yes, I'll come in and meet him. And we had about a 3-hour meeting somewhere in Brooklyn, New York. And since they were already prepped to start shooting the movie, the cinematographer was there, the makeup artist that they were going to use was there. And so I did a screen test already while I was there, and read from part of the script. And yeah, they gave me the role like 3 days later, and it was great. It was really exciting, because I hadn't had a role like that before. I mean, the Human Centipede, I was the lead protagonist, but this was like a whole nother level. So I was very happy.
I find it interesting that he didn't. He wanted nothing to do with you when you did when he discovered Human Centipede, but part of the equation, and yet you two are married. Okay,
Yeah.
what sparked the relationship? What made him look past Human Centipede, that there's something very special about this woman?
It's Human Centipede is just a film, like, I'm an
Yep.
actor, just a role I did. I think what he ended up realizing most likely. I mean, I have no idea. Like we fell in love on set. There was sparks flying. There was like, we were both kind of doing, I had been a part of something very controversial. I wasn't afraid of things like that. And he
Mm-hmm.
was also, we were doing a movie together that was very controversial. And
Oh
so
yeah.
we had in common where there was just zero fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he really liked that. I think he, and I like that about him too. We were just like this fearless power, you know, power couple, it's just, there was just a really strong feeling there. And he hasn't seen the Human Centipede fully, he doesn't really care to. It's not his type of
Mm-hmm.
movie, but he doesn't care that I was involved in it. I think um, he just loves that I have that kind of, I don't know, that type of personality. I don't even know if it's a personality thing, but just a kind of a fearlessness and wanting to kind of be a part of unique things and challenging things. So that's what we had in common at first. Yeah.
I'll be frank, I think Julia was a better movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
I yeah.
I watched it last night and I was like I was immediately the Miss 45 connections aside, I was right taken into the world, I got lost in your character, and there was a few similarities to Human Centipede, like I will never get used to, and I've seen this in other movies, somebody's penis being lopped off in front of the camera. Like that is not. I was going like this, like no. Oh, one.
Now for the
Yeah,
that
one.
had to which cut we gave to Horror-rama, but yeah, for the DVD release, they had to cut that scene to be able to give it a rating, an R rating. So, which I'm glad for. I mean, it was I don't know. The funny thing is like Matthew, the director, he'd never seen Miss 45 or the Human Centipede, like all these references of similarities you think you see. It's like it was all mostly from his imagination and his recent breakup with a woman and like what she might do in a revenge type situation. And so a lot of people, like once it came out, they were like, this is so much like Miss 45, and they gave all these like kind of similar like rape revenge movie references. And he was like, what? Like, I've never seen that. I don't know anything about that. So suddenly he was thrown into like this rape revenge genre. And, he didn't mean to, it was all by mistake. So, yeah.
Well, I love the look of the film. The the dark colors and the areas where you get some flashy colors in it, like when you're going about the city, I often said if you really want to add more personality to your movie, find interesting locations,
Mm-hmm.
and the way you light them, and
Yeah.
it really, yeah, brings out a
Want
lot.
very dark, like I mean, New York City, of course, is such a huge production value of just like being in the streets, but
Hmm.
they love shooting at night just because of all those neon lights. And the cinematographer was just all about that. He did a good job capturing that, and just the darkness of, it's almost like vampire-ish. She's just kind of like walking around the city at night looking for her next victim. And I loved that.
I gotta say, of course, the beginning of the movie, it shows that you've been attacked and raped by four men. One guy I felt really sorry for because he got kind of forced into it, but
Yeah.
he also didn't exactly. I don't know what he could have done in that situation. He was kind of under the gun himself, but still, that doesn't change what happened. But
Yeah.
what are how like I know Human Centipede, you went into this as well. How do you go into a role like this where you get to face nudity as well as an uncomfortable subject matter and scene like that?
You know, I definitely make sure that there's a reason for it,
Hmm.
that she's not, naked for shits and giggles,
Hmm.
like there's gotta be a legit reason for it that makes sense to me and the character. And the director and I discussed all of those scenes in depth and made sure that I was going to be very comfortable, and he didn't want me to do anything that I didn't want to do. And so as long as it made sense to the story, I was like, yes, like this needs to be shown, and I think because I don't think of nudity as I want to be able to portray the realness of the situation, and so as long as it's done tactfully, then I'm okay with it. And of course, the challenge that goes along with that as an actor, I'm very much drawn to.
You know what's interesting? There's a story out there from the original I Spit on Your Grave that
Mm.
where apparently the fellas that commit the act of rape in the film, they've, if I remember this correctly, they've kind of left the business because they were that uncomfortable doing the scene. Of course, the actress doing the scene, she's doing all the cons and whatnot, she seems quite happy about it, but
Mm.
the actors were very, very uncomfortable. And I heard stories like I said, I know Lisa Langlois from the movie Class of 1984, and there's a scene where the teacher's wife is attacked and raped, and of course the teacher's wife was an executive producer on the film, but apparently the fellows in the film were a lot more uncomfortable doing this scene than she ever was, and was it the same in Julia, where what would the fellow's reaction to this? It,
Well, of course, I can't speak for them,
mhm,
but I know that when you say yes to doing a role like that, you got to be all in. You
mhm.
can't like second guess it. You've already said yes. Like if you weren't comfortable with it, then don't say yes to a role like that. I mean, honestly, like, unless for some reason the director or the producers, when you're shooting the scene, it's not going the way they said it was going to go, then that's different. Um, but I certainly can't speak for the guys, and all I know is that I'm friends with them to this day,
Mhm.
and they're all still working and love the industry, and loved the challenge of those roles. And I think, yeah, it is hard. It's shooting scenes like that, it is uncomfortable, but you somehow just it's all experience, and I think the actors really wanted that. They wanted that experience. They wanted I don't know, the challenge, just like me, just like what I said about doing the role of Julia. But it's all for the story.
Mhm.
So
There was one scene in the movie that absolutely loved is when of course you play a surgeon's assistant in the movie, which I found interesting, and I love there you're starting to you're stashing away some implements you're going to use for later on, and of course your boss comes in there and wants to know what you're doing, but he gets called away. But there's a moment where you try to come on to him and he says, backside goes, "What are you doing?" And I love the fact that there was at least one fella in this movie that wasn't painted as the bad guy. I like
yeah,
that there was somebody that was like, "What's going on here?" Who he was genuine
he genuinely
wondering.
concerned about me,
Yeah.
which I loved. And by that point, she's just like a mess. She's just like, I'm she will do anything to kind of get what she wants. She's on a one-way track at that point. And so coming on to her colleague, it was like, wait, what is going on here? So I loved shooting that scene.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the character of Sadie, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
I gotta look up the actress who played Sadie.
Tahina Tatsi.
Yeah, she was great in this movie. And of
Yeah.
course, she gets a little more involved with you than she expected. And um, I don't think she expected that, but I also think there's just a little hint of backstory to her that she knows a little more something sinister to your therapy of say than you do. And despite the warnings, I think she knows this could potentially end badly since your character Julia is hell-bent on seeking these guys out, one of
Yeah.
which probably should have chose a different surgeon's office to go to.
I know. Well, he did that on purpose, like he wanted to see me. He needed to kind of, apologize and to help himself move on from it. Closure. But yeah, that was very ballsy of him to do that. But
My,
yes, she was great. I mean, Tahina was also a replacement for a woman who wasn't able to do it either. I had to back out for another project, but so her and I were kind of like the last minute replacements, and that we really bonded with that in the beginning. And yeah, she was great. It was really interesting around the time that Julia is like after she's kind of done her first kind of therapeutic ritual.
mm-hmm.
um, Sadie can see that Julia is in this place of like just this higher being, and everyone is kind of attracted to that in that moment, especially her. And she's just like, who is this goddess who's just like going for it? And by that point, Julia is, you know, I don't think it's like, oh, now I'm attracted to girls because I got raped by men. It's not that at all. It's like, she's it's not man or woman. She's just like this hungry beast, that she's like, I am nobody. I am, and so this woman is like, coming on to me, cool, great, but like I've got a job to do, So
I
um
don't want to spoil the ending, but can you? What are your views on a decision she makes with regards to Sadie at the end of the movie? I don't know how you can word around this because I don't want to spoil anything. It was very interesting take, but
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that final act and the last
Like
scene?
by that point, it's almost like she has no feeling left
Mm-hmm.
inside herself. She's just like, um, I don't care about anyone around me. I don't care what happens to me. I'm just like, she's just in this higher place where, you know, not robotic, but just like, she was, I don't want to give spoilers either, but, betrayed. And there was just no feeling left around the relationship, or what might happen or could happen, or what it was Sadie was infatuated with Julia, but Julia was not infatuated with her. It was like she's in a very different place from Sadie, and so by the end of the movie, it just, nothing mattered to her anymore. So I mean, I guess if you did say that something mattered to her, it would be to just completely extract herself from her life and anyone in it, because she had been, dealt like the hand of God. Like she was very much like in trying to heal herself, and all these shitty things just kept happening, and she was just like, I need to just get out. And Matthew and I always talked about a sequel. It was actually a planned trilogy for Julia, depending on how well the first one did. So, you know, we always thought like, oh, the second one could be where she's actually like, she's left the city and she's like in some cave in the mountains and starts to form her own therapeutic kind of following of people who want to, you know, rid themselves of past traumas and move on with their lives. And but yeah, she, by the end of it, she was very much in a place of like, I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why it is. I got a thing on my Zoom that says remaining time less than 8 minutes, upgrade to pro. How would that be if I've got only two of us on here?
I do not know.
I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about Human Centipede. What was your reaction to that script when you first got it?
I didn't receive a script. I was told verbally what it was about. I didn't receive a script until I was in the Netherlands shooting the movie. And it wasn't really a script. It was just a synopsis of each scene that was going to take place. But yeah, when I went into audition, actually before I auditioned, the breakdown of the movie was just controversial European horror film. And so going into the audition, I had no idea what that was or meant until I was sat by Tom Six and his producing partner, Ilona, and they told me what it was about. And yeah, I was in shock, but I was kind of pretending not to be shocked. I really wanted, I really was intrigued, and Tom Six was super passionate about the project and the story that I just felt like I really wanted to know more. And I was in this place in my life where I was looking for something risky to be a part of. I was just so bored of the things that I was auditioning for in New York City, and the plays that I was a part of just weren't doing it for me. And so when I got handed the Human Centipede, it was like, okay, like this is the risk I was looking for. This is the challenge as an actor, that this juicy challenge, this unique challenge. As an actor, I was just like, yes, I'm going for it. But yeah, it was uncomfortable thinking about what I was going to have to do. But I immediately trusted, you know, them. And of course, my reps were all like, made sure in the contract that, you know, I was taken care of and that I was safe. And so I didn't worry too much.
Yeah, you were the middle part of the centipede, you know. I understand there were people that weren't going to do this movie because of the content, and you accepted the challenge. I can imagine how the details on doing a scene like that must have been difficult, trying, but you went through it like a trooper.
Yes, they were really difficult, but you know, what a lot of people don't know is that, I mean, I think a lot of people assume that it was just disgusting to be a part of, but I did not experience that because it wasn't real. Like, we weren't doing what you see in the movie. So everything was very like awkward. And I mean, awkward in a way where like, it kind of like my neck hurt, you know, and my knees hurt. And like, we were in the mud and cold with rain coming down on us. And it was very like difficult, challenging, emotionally exhausting work. So there was that aspect of it that kind of sucked, but also like just threw us in, and we loved the challenge of that. And it was a very small cast and crew, so we all became pretty close on set. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk about, I'm wondering if I did something wrong with this Zoom because I know that for some weird reason she is saying we're down to 3 minutes. Um, I don't even know how that happened.
Did you put a timer on how long you wanted this to be?
No,
Okay.
no. Do you mind if is there a way you could stretch it out on your end, or do I have to do it on my end?
I think you have to do it on your end. I have no idea.
Do you mind if I pitch this back to you here in a moment so we can get more time because you've got some other projects I'd like to ask you about?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because I don't want this to cut off in mid-sentence here, and I want us to be able to continue because I don't know what this is all about here. So I'm
Okay.
going to close off on this part, and then I'm going to send you another thing so that we can continue because I want to ask you about some of your other credits. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't have too much longer, but yeah, as long as you can get the next meeting set up pretty quickly, then that should be fine.
We'll do that. We'll do
Okay.
that. Oh, we'll do that. Okay?
Okay.
All
All right.
right. All
In a
right.
minute.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep. Bye. Okay, continuing on here. We talked Julia, we've talked Human Centipede. I want to ask, what was like working with Tom Six, the director of Human Centipede?
Oh, he was great. Yeah, he was super cool and professional. Loved working with him. He was so energizing on set.
Mm-hmm.
So being my first film, he made me feel very comfortable, and a lot of the dialogue was like a collaboration process. So it was nice that he kind of let us all contribute our own ideas. It was really great.
Yes. Have you seen any of the sequels to it?
I have
Okay, what did you think?
well, watching the second one was pretty brutal. I saw it in the premiere of it in New York City, and it was yeah, I thought it was really well done, actually. But brutal, and I think that if it was done in color, it would have been more brutal to watch. But yeah, yeah. The third one I saw as well. Um, didn't have the same reaction as far as the second one goes. But yeah, I think for what he was going for, I think he did a good job.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got some other films I want to touch upon here before we let you go. Um, one that grabbed my attention was paranormal movie, which like, a parody. I'm actually a cameo in a movie that Eric Roberts is in. This one here, of course, making fun of the Paranormal Activity movies. Talk about this project.
Gosh, that was not that I regret it, but I think it was around that time where people were still pretty excited about the human centipede, and doing all these different kind of skits on it, and so they that was the only time that I've ever agreed to what's the word I'm looking for, yeah, do like a cameo based on like a role, like the human centipede. um I have not seen the film. I didn't want to see it. I thought like
Okay.
it was kind of ridiculous, to be honest. But yeah, I guess it was kind of fun. It was a very low budget, just, I don't know. I feel like they were just doing it for themselves, to just kind of like laugh on set about, you know, movies.
Kind
But
of like,
everyone did it. Like everyone I worked with on that set was like, they were all super cool. I was there for a day, so I don't have like the biggest memories of it.
okay. Let me see. You had the guy named Rick. That looks interesting. I haven't seen it, but it looks interesting.
Gosh, wow. I did that such a long time ago. Yeah, that was great. I mean, it was nice to do something that was more of a like a rom-com. I
Hmm.
think that's why I did it. And I played this kind of like she was very much into quantum physics, so she was very smart and just a different kind of character than I've ever played. And she falls for the lead character. But he also has like all these other relationships with women in the movie too. So I was just like one of six or something. So yeah, that was fun. It was nice shooting something a bit lighter than usual. But again, like, I mean, all my family members, they say, why can't you just do rom-coms, something silly and light? I'm like, you know what? It's fun, but I don't know. I on to darker shit. So it was fun though. It was a good time. The director and the writer of that film was yeah, still in touch with him to this day. He's cool. He's a very talented writer.
So there's no chance of doing Human Centipede the rom-com?
Yeah. Funny.
One
No,
film huh?
I'm actually a huge fan of the sci-fi fantasy genres, and so it's something that I've uh really hope to be a part of something like that in the near future. But yeah, rom-coms, like it has to be the right kind of story. I mean, there's just so many of the same, I mean, kind of like the horror genre where it's like the cabin in the woods and just the same kind of foundation of the story. And so when I look uh for stories to be a part of, I want it to be like unique and something that's like a story that's never been told before. So I'm pretty picky with all that.
Yeah. You did a movie called Hallows Eve. You get to work with Danielle Harris. What was that experience like?
It was great. She's super, super cool, professional. I had this epic dying scene, just
Hmm.
gut spilling out of me. Like I get stabbed and like cut open, and it's just a really long dying scene. I'm just like, it takes place in this haunted house, so I'm trying to get out of this like fun house, trying to find my way out as I'm just like bleeding all over the place. So that was done in the middle of the night. So it's like this epic night shoot of like, yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, and you have another one that I need to bring up here, The Church.
Yeah.
You get a great cast in this. I've interviewed Lisa Wilcox before,
Mm.
Clint Howard, Bill Moseley. You get some
Great.
good names in
Yeah,
there.
some iconic people. Um, that was yeah, that was an interesting set because the movie didn't get finished for like a decade. It didn't, like I shot it like right after I shot Julia, or so not a decade. So like, but it just came out like 2 years ago or a year
Hmm.
ago. And they took forever to edit it. I think they lost some funding to finish it. So I like forgot about it for a while. But yeah, again, like small kind of character where, I play this like assistant, and she gets locked into this church with these other people. And yeah, that was yeah, cool, cool
And, of,
experience.
and of course, you're in Albanian Gangster 1 and Part 2 as well. Of course, the other one's in post-production.
Hmm.
I have not seen these, but what do you have to say about those two movies?
Well, Albanian Gangster, that is something that I shot with my husband after
Hmm.
we did Julia together. So
Okay.
that was probably one of my favorite experiences since doing.
Okay.
He worked with all real gangsters from the streets of the Bronx, and turn them into actors, and it was pretty incredible. I got to work with the main guy, who's pretty intimidating. I love him to death. He's got a lot of heart, but he's done a lot of like not so great things. So and he's done time in jail, and a lot of his friends that were on set with us were, like, it was interesting. It was a really interesting process, and I played the main guy's love interest, and it was one of those roles that I was looking for, something that was not in the horror genre, something I could branch out into, and so I loved it, and I always love working with my husband, and we're also working on something else together now, a TV series this time. So that's something that's been in the works for a few years now, but it's going to be like really epic, and it takes place around the oil and trucking industry in North Dakota, along with the reservations up there. So yeah, that's another project that I'm developing.
You know what? I need to ask you about Horror-rama. What was your experience like at that event I met you at in Toronto?
Yeah, conventions are always really fun. It's amazing to meet fans of the work you've done. I love when people get so excited about the movies I've been in, and yep, and of course, it's a nice feeling. And you get to kind of hang out with other actors that you might admire, that are also doing the same thing you are at their table, and so it's a fun weekend. You get to all hang out after everyone goes home, and yeah, it's a good time.
So, what's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Oh gosh, someone had a tattoo on their lower back, like on their love handle, close to their ass. It was of the iconic drawing of the human centipede, and I had to sign, on his flesh right below it.
And then he tattoos it on there.
Yeah, and the tattoo's of course permanent, and my autograph's not, but that was kind of
Oh, well,
funny.
they'll tattoo your autograph on there.
Yeah, that's so, right?
Yep. Yep. I hear about that a lot. I don't have any tattoos, but yeah, people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any charities that you're involved with that you want to promote on here?
No, I'm not a part of any charities.
Okay. Any projects coming up that you want to plug on here?
Well, just the TV series that my
Mhm.
husband and I are working on, but there's nothing to plug yet. It's still in development. So the only thing I can say is, if you want to stay tuned to all my upcoming projects, follow me on Instagram at Ashley C. Williams. That's where I hang out.
You know what? I tried to get you on here after I met you at Horror-rama, and I guess I just reached out to you on Instagram because before it was Facebook, but I guess you're more an Instagram person, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've pretty much left Facebook. I still have my account on there, but I'm very rarely on there.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a lot of drama on there, and I try to avoid that myself. So, but I was really,
Yeah.
really happy to have you come on here today and talk about your roles. I really enjoyed Julia a lot, when I watched it. There was some scenes I was kind of like this at, when it gets a little
Mhm.
too gross. I'm not too squeamish, but there's some stuff, I think they should cut away from,
Then it would be fun. Then it wouldn't be what it is.
Oh, gee.
I like that. I love getting scared. That's fun.
Yeah, you like playing kick-ass roles.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it.
Your,
Strong female leads that
hmm
can, yeah.
Your husband see you as kick-ass?
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
better. He
Oh
better,
yeah.
huh?
Like he treats me like a queen. It's great.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that he took a chance on you because I don't think Julia would have worked without you.
That's true.
Hmm. You were great in that. I guess my last question, uh, I'll make this one about Julia. What was your most challenging thing about doing that movie?
Hmm. Um, I mean, I guess I would say the rape scene. I mean, that was probably um the most challenging and uncomfortable only because like it was very wasn't realistic, but like it was just very very real feeling. And the director just made the environment, I mean, he made it comfortable but also purposefully made it uncomfortable at the same time, just to get that kind of feeling in the room. So that was, yeah, I think also there's a scene in the shower where I'm sitting in the shower and the shower is running on me and I'm like cutting my,
Yeah. Yeah, oh
that was
yeah.
that moment. The director had me go to some really dark places, I mean, internally, for that, to shoot that moment. So when I came out of it, it was like when he yelled cut, it was very hard for me to kind of like I needed to like go and cry in a corner. It was very emotionally challenging. So but yeah, all for the story and the character. Actors, we put ourselves through such like torture.
Well,
um,
well, you know what? If when you get details together on the TV show,
mm,
maybe next year this time, I'd be more than happy to have you back on and explore uh, your upcoming projects.
great. Yeah, I'd love to.
It was wonderful having you come on. It was an honor to meet you, you were very classy, like I said when I met you there, and I've been going every year. That was my first trip, my first time on a plane, my first time really out of this area, really. So,
Congrats. It's a big
and
step.
and you were part of that. So, yep. And I've kept this picture on hand, and very happy to have that. It's a great picture of you.
Thank you. Yes, it is a great picture.
I hope that they bring you back to Horror-rama and
Yeah.
maybe bring you to Frightmare in the Falls as well. That's another one I've attended. It's just outside Toronto, so yeah,
Hey,
I'm a,
yeah.
yeah, I'm an hour ahead of Toronto, so it's I'm in that little spot in the world nobody knows about. Anyway, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, just state your name and say you're part of Julian and Human Centipede, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Greg Gilbert. Wait, Greg
Paradise.
Dice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, this is Ashley C. Williams from the movies The Human Centipede and Julia, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. A delight meeting you in Toronto at Horror-rama 2017. Look at that lovely picture. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah, you haven't changed a bit. Your hair got a little darker, but
Yeah.
there's no problem, you know. But still, no change at all. There you go. Loved seeing that movie and loved having you on here today. Thank you so much for allowing me the honor.
Thank you, Greg, for having me.
Absolutely. God bless you and keep yourself safe out there and good luck on your future projects.
Thank you. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye bye.